Welcome back. Welcome back.
We're finally
We're
back.
You know, it's been a minute. You know, new feel,
New vibe.
new set, new vibes. You know,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And welcome back. I would just like to tell everybody this is first possession. You are not deceived.
Yep.
Your eyes do not deceive you. You know, corporate, they try to put us in a box. You feel me? They tried to lock us up. They tried to tame
had
us
in suits and stuff.
In suits, you know. But we here looking
you know,
nice, you know, with the drip, casual. And we with a new new set. And Jono, how you feeling?
Hey, I'm feeling great, man. I like this a lot, man. Now we can really get in our bags for real.
Our new sauce,
new
condiments.
Obviously, except for the fact that the Texans are going downhill. Everything's great. Everything's great. You know.
Yeah, you know, JJ Watt looks like it's the end of an era.
Oh man,
it's really the end of an era in Houston. You lose Harden. Deshaun wants out.
George Springer.
Oh, don't forget, y'all lost another star, Russell Westbrook.
Hey, come on. Can we stay positive, please?
Okay. But, you know, we got a whole bunch of topics for y'all. You know, obviously, like we said, JJ and the Houston situation. Russell Wilson looks like he wants more input, or else we might be seeing him depart out of Seattle. LeBron looking like the MVP yet again.
Washed king.
Hashtag Mickey Mouse ring. You know, he's trying to get a real one this time. But in all seriousness, we got a lot of topics for you guys, but let's just start off with the Houston situation. I know you got a lot to say about that, but JJ Watt, he asked for his release from the McNair family, and they granted his release, you know, mutual parting. He had a career low year. He only recorded 5 sacks, and he played a full season. This is the lowest amount of sacks he's ever had in a full season. Second lowest QB hits he's ever had. The lowest combined tackles he's had in a full year. It's a tough year. It was a really tough year, and considering they went 4-12, their defense was just putrid. Deshaun Watson, a wasted year of his prime, and now he wants out, and they've basically come to agreement that they're gonna let JJ Watt go. And now there were rumors that Deshaun Watson wants to leave, and the owners don't want to let him go. And they could actually just play it out. So, what are your thoughts on this situation?
I mean, when it comes to JJ, I think it was best for both parties, because JJ is at the latter end of his career, and when you look at JJ, he had a career low year in the numbers across the board. Everything, low in sacks, low in tackles, low in quarterback hits, and I just think with JJ, he basically sat down and looked at the Texans as an organization and basically said, like, I don't see what the future's looking like. And obviously, as an NFL player, you don't have that many years. You're not LeBron, where you can play year 18 in the NFL,
especially at that position.
Exactly, especially at that position. And with JJ, he's had multiple surgeries,
bro.
Back surgery with his shoulder, with his ribs here and there.
I even thought he should have retired a couple years ago.
Exactly, with all those injuries, and he's basically, I guess he wants to go to a contender and compete for something. I don't think he's washed, because I still think he has a lot in the tank left.
A lot.
Maybe not a lot as in like a Khalil or AD, Aaron Donald, but like he has impact on the field. When he's on the field, you feel his presence.
But don't you think that the reason he had a lot of impact on the field was because he was really like the only guy? That
only guy,
team?
And he was getting double teamed and triple teamed. And what that does is that opens up the window for other guys to go and attack.
And they weren't. They weren't able to,
because the Texans, first of all, they let go of Clowney. They let go of their main, D lineman.
Clowney was a good let go, because he's trash.
It was
now.
A good let go, but
he didn't even get a sack last year.
Absolutely, but when you have 2, 3, 4 of those type of caliber of players on one D line, it's really scary, and you can't just focus on one guy. You got to focus on all of them as a joint team. But with JJ, I just think I think it's a good let go. But my only problem with that was, couldn't you have traded him and got something back?
I don't think.
Listen.
Like,
okay. JJ, I don't think JJ's worth a 4th or 3rd round pick or 5th. But hey, it's the NFL. You can find gems in the 6th and 7th round. Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round.
That's such a weak
argument. That's one out of like 1 million. But I understand.
Not only was he one, but dude, he became the GOAT.
I agree. but you can find studs in the 6th and 7th round. I mean, couldn't you have gotten a 6th or 7th round for JJ?
Okay, but
ask him where do you want to go? Where do you want to get traded? We'll let you go there, but let's make a call to that team and ask them if they have anything for us. Then just letting him walk. And I think that's my only problem.
What if
with that.
they tried to get teams involved in a transaction and they just didn't get much
I don't think
value.
they did, because if they did, we would have probably heard some news about it that JJ's on the trade market, but we never heard anything till he got released. So that's my only problem with that.
But you do know, maybe the Texans looked at it like, okay, this guy has done a lot for us. He was here when we had no QB.
Exactly.
Before y'all even got Deshaun. Remember the years of TJ Yates and Matt Schwab and remember Matt Schwab?
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt Schwab was
Brock
trash.
Osweiler.
Brock Osweiler.
Oh my God.
Y'all treated him like a franchise QB. You know, so I remember all those years. So Case Keenum. So he went through all of that, sacrificed his prime.
Yep.
I mean, like monster numbers: 21 sacks, 11 sacks, 21. He had 2 20-sack years. 2 20-sack years.
Monster.
3 Defensive Player of the Year wins. Multiple time Pro Bowler,
5
multiple
times Pro
time
Bowler.
All Pro. He's one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the game of football. Not just of
Absolutely.
this generation, but in the
Absolutely.
history of the game. But bruh, like he wasted a lot of those years.
And when you look at the Texans, they gave up a good portion of their picks to Miami for Larry Tunsil. So if you're the Texans and you're somebody that's looking to build for the future, why not accumulate some draft picks, something, anything? I'm not saying get first or second round.
but like I was saying, though, considering all he's done for the team, what if they just said, all right, let's just give him his release? You know, like we know we're not going anywhere.
Releasing him gives him the opportunity to go sign
pick
for
anywhere.
wherever when he, and that's what I'm saying. Ask him, JJ, where do you have in mind? Okay,
but what
if you don't have anywhere in mind now? Okay, we'll give you maybe another month to you know.
But he said he asked for his release.
Mm-hmm.
So what if he just went up there and said, look, like I'm just trying to get released.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, just let me go.
I mean, also look, that's how bad things are in the Texans right now. That he just doesn't even want to be there right now. Like he just wants to go, wants to have nothing to do with the Texans as an organization. Because I think he will always love Houston, the people, the city.
And he's done a lot for
exactly
Houston, yeah.
How much love he showed us, and you know we showed him also. He will always love Houston, but I think the Texans as an organization, he has taken too much crap for so many years that it's just time to walk. And I think good for both parties, because he's coming to the latter end of his career and he doesn't want to be on a 4-12 team because he's not going to be here for long. I think he has like 2-3 years max left, you know, so why not go to a Super Bowl contender or a playoff contender and, you know, compete.
Where do you think he can go?
At a high level. There are a lot of teams like the Seahawks. They don't, I think JJ on the Seahawks, you know, that adds another defensive threat that the Seahawks have lacked, you know, the last couple of years. The Seahawks
are not real contenders, bro.
I mean, when you add JJ to that defense, that was really, I'm talking about god awful bad, you know, at the first part of last season. And when you add JJ, that just brings another threat. And now you don't have to send Jamal Adams, you know, to the line of scrimmage every time. You know,
okay,
5 times.
If you were to add JJ to that team, right? Do you think Jamal Adams would be forced to be in coverage more?
Yeah. I think he'll be forced. I mean, with Jamal, you can't stop him from going to you know, rush the quarterback. He's always going to do that because that's just who he is. But you know, I think when you add JJ, that's just another defensive threat that you know you can use to, you know, rush the quarterback. But there are also a lot of teams out there that really lack.
I think
a
San
good D-line.
Francisco should look at
Kansas City could use him. Kansas City,
San Francisco,
absolutely.
Because Nick Bosa is coming off of an injury next
so
year,
he's not going to have that speed. Absolutely.
And when he comes back next year, let's say he loses a step, teams are probably going to still show him respect because he's Nick Bosa and they saw what he did to help them get to that Super Bowl 2 years ago. So you're going to go give him a lot of attention. JJ Watt can benefit from that.
Also, let's not forget the Bucs might lose Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, but I think they'd be fools to lose him though. After what he just did for them in the Super Bowl.
I don't think they can pay him though with that much money.
I mean, I guess, but
our team is going to throw the bag.
But they're
at
also
him.
going to look at, because Mike Evans and not Mike Evans, Antonio Brown and Marcus Godwin, one of them is going to have to go.
I think Godwin is going to go. Tom Brady's not letting AB walk. He's not letting AB walk.
Yeah, but Godwin I think still has some potential.
Godwin, I think he's a solid number 2.
Godwin can be a number 1.
Nah,
I think he can. He still has promise to be a number 1 because think about it. He's played with Mike Evans his whole career.
Yeah.
You know, now he's on a year where AB, Rob.
Yeah.
You know, OJ was there.
But he drops a lot of passes, though.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Number 1 guys literally never drop passes ever.
You're not supposed to.
Exactly.
It's not in your job description.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody wants to be the number 1 guy till it's time to be the number 1 guy. You know, then guys start folding. Hollywood Brown, but you know, that's another discussion.
Not too much in Hollywood. If you had a QB that can throw,
but let's move on. But yeah, I mean, good for both parties. JJ is gone. Texans, I don't know what the hell the future looks like, but let's just hope they at least try to convince Deshaun to stay.
Gutter, bro. They're in the gutter.
Oh man, it's tough. Tough day.
But moving on to another dysfunctional franchise, the Dallas Cowboys, bro.
Are we really gonna talk about the Cowboys on this show? Are we really?
Like, honestly, I don't want to talk about them.
Listen,
I don't. But you know,
I think we have some Dallas fans out there.
Yeah,
let's just show them some love.
Let's be respectful.
Yeah, let's be respectful.
Let's be respectful. We're gonna talk about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are pathetic right now. You know, another terrible season.
Is that news?
It's not news, but you know, it's crazy. Like the Cowboys get all this hype and all this news attention. Like we're giving
America's
them attention.
team, man.
They're America's team, and like their hype comes from what, the 80s,
the 90s,
the 90s. Like they have three playoff victories in the last 20 years. You know, and two of them, even in the Romo era that they love to fantasize about, only 2 playoff victories. So, excuse me, my bad. So, like, how, like, the fact that their fans have this hope every year that they're going to be Super Bowl contenders, because we literally hear this every year. The Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders. The Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders. But now they're in a position where they come off of a terrible season. They even could have still won the playoffs that year. But not only did they not make the playoffs, in a division that the team that went to the playoffs, the Washington football team, had a losing record.
Yep.
But they still don't know who's going to be the quarterback.
Yeah, when you talk about the Cowboys and when we talk about dysfunction and, you know, not living up to the hype, as you call them, America's team. First of all, if you're going to be a Super Bowl contender, can you have a quarterback for the next 5 years? Would you lock down a quarterback for the next 5 years? Exactly.
You have
and the
to.
Cowboys haven't done that. And when you have all these news going around about the quarterback, this and that, that does not allow everybody around the team to focus, because when you look at all the Super Bowl contenders now, they have their quarterbacks locked in for the next couple of years. When you look at the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, you know, all the top teams in the NFL, they have their quarterback locked in. And when your quarterback is locked in, that allows you to build properly. Now you know, okay, what's our quarterback's weakness? What does he need help with? Does he need an O-line? Does he need a wide receiver? Does he need a running back?
You can't do that, though. You can't do that, though, because the thing is, here's the thing with Dak. Dak, I can understand why they don't have too much faith in Dak.
Okay.
Because Dak is not a top 10 quarterback. He's
Arguably.
not an MVP caliber player. He's not an elite quarterback. And he wants to keep quarterback money. You get it?
But when you look at his mates, they've all gotten paid.
I get that. Like, his mates have gotten paid. And I think that Carson Wentz getting paid.
Jared Goff.
No. I'm going to stick with Wentz. The reason I'm going to stick with Wentz, you know, it's fun to hate on Carson Wentz.
Oh, brother.
But other than that, let's just be honest here, bruh. Carson Wentz got paid, and Carson Wentz hadn't accomplished what Dak accomplished at that point. Even if Carson was going to be an MVP, he didn't do it, and he got paid. And he's injury prone. Dak is always there, other than the injury he just suffered, because they were having contract issues even before the injury he suffered, right? Dak is the Iron Man. And he's a great leader. We know Dak is a great leader.
Absolutely.
Carson Wentz, his leadership has been in question for a good part of his career. So there are arguments for why Dak should have got paid even more than Carson Wentz. Yeah. And Dak is just asking to get paid like Carson Wentz.
And another thing why, like, I'm not also letting Dak completely off the hook, because not many quarterbacks, you know, get drafted and walk into the situation that he walked into. Not many quarterbacks walk in with Zeke as their quarterback. Not many quarterbacks walk in, you know, with the Cowboys front office.
That O-line was
exactly. Their O-line was one of the best in the league. They had a receiving core, and then they picked up, you know, a couple of pieces. And, you know, I don't want to say he's underachieved because he's still very young, but he's not really young. He's 27. You know what I'm saying? So with Dak Prescott, when you look at his mates, with Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, those guys got paid. And, you know, when it comes to, like, receiving big money in the NFL, it's not solely based on what you've achieved, but more so also on your potential as an NFL player, as a quarterback. Because when you're a player, they need to see that, okay, this guy, if he has 2 or 3 more years, he can be really, really good. If we put him in the right positions to succeed, if we put the right pieces around him, he can be really, really good. And with Dak Prescott, I mean, he's in a great situation. He has everything around him. He has a great O-line, great receiving core, great running back, all right defense with the Cowboys. But
I also think, like, I think one thing that's also hurting him is, like, for example, Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins got the bag that he got.
Yeah, he did.
He got the bag. He's still one of the most highest paid players in the NFL.
Yeah.
Think about it. Kirk Cousins, he's made, like, what, 1-2 Pro Bowls?
About,
you know,
yeah.
Like, and I could be stretching it with 2. I know he's made at least Washington, 1, you know, with Washington. and I think one with Minnesota as well. I think he made 2.
Yeah,
I think he's made 2. But Kirk Cousins is a middle of the pack quarterback.
I would say he's an all right quarterback.
Yeah, he's middle of the pack, mid. He's all right. He's not trash, but he's all right. He's like a top half quarterback, you know. And Dak is around that range, and Dak's arguably accomplished just as much as Kirk Cousins has. He made the playoffs twice, won a playoff game just like Kirk has, beating the New Orleans Saints that year. And Kirk got paid, and at the time that Kirk got paid, their defense was an all-time great defense. Don't forget, Case Keenum went to the NFC Championship with that defense. Remember Xavier Rhodes?
Yeah.
They had a great defense that year. And Mike Zimmer. I remember Stephon did his thing, Minneapolis Miracle. They had a great team that year, especially on the defensive end. And Dak walks into a situation where you have a great offense. You have Ezekiel Elliott, Dez Bryant, Cole Beasley, Jason Witten, and I'm sure some of those guys are not what they used to be. Dez Bryant,
top 5 offensive line, also
top 5 offensive line, and they get to the playoffs and they lose to the Packers. But then the other years, 9-7 years,
8-8,
go 8-8, and in that year that they went 8-8, they were favored to get to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
To get to the Super Bowl before the season started. People had them as a Super Bowl contender. They started off the year 3-0 against the Giants, the Redskins, and the Dolphins. 3 teams that would go on to picking in the top 10 in the draft.
Yeah.
Not only that, then they go on to lose their next 3 games straight against the Saints, the Packers. Fine, 2 good teams. But then they lose to the Jets. The Jets. The Jets are not respectable in any way, shape, or form. It's unacceptable.
I mean, when I look at the Cowboys, all right, when you're the Cowboys, why are you not locking down Dak? Okay, are you looking at the market and, you know, seeing all this quarterback movement and saying, okay, should we see who's available, this and that? But why I think the Cowboys should lock down Dak is because look at the NFC East, which is arguably, I don't even think is arguably the worst division in football. I think
fact.
Ever.
It's a fact. Yeah.
When you look at the NFC East, who's the quarterbacks on the other team? Daniel Jones. The Washington football team don't even have a quarterback right now. And who's the other guy? Philly, Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Which of those guys are really going to challenge the Cowboys for that for the NFC East? Exactly. I could argue Dak is the best quarterback in that division.
Yeah.
So why not just run with that? Because if Dak is competing with Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, and whoever the football team signs for the next 5 years, I'll take my money with that. I'll take my bet with that. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're going to obviously be a top 2 team in that division and always make it to the playoffs for the next couple of years. So why not just lock down exactly? And you got CD, Amari Cooper, and all those teams. Or Zeke probably still has a couple more years in him, and they'll probably improve the defense. So why not lock down Dak?
Yeah, I think it's sad. Yeah, Dak's in a situation where he just got hurt. And he just wants to get paid.
And he's got his numbers. He's got
the numbers.
Since he got drafted, I think only Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes have more wins than him.
Exactly.
So he's got the numbers with it.
Yeah. I want him to get paid.
Absolutely.
Because
he deserves it.
NBA, any NFL or athlete in general should be paid because up until this past year, Dak was actually 40-24 as a starter up until this past year because they went 2-3 in the games that he played. I'm not even gonna really count the last game because he got hurt. But outside of this year, he's 40-24. And then if you want to include this year, he's 42-27, winning record.
Absolutely.
So I think he should get paid. It's gonna hurt. I know Jerry Jones is gonna hurt his pocketbook,
Definitely.
but just cut that check.
Because they've got some big money guys on that team, like D-Law.
The thing that blows my mind is you're still paying a huge hit with the franchise tag.
Yeah.
Like
$38 million.
That's so exactly. That's a lot of money right there.
Jeez.
Just lock them down, and they could have handled this way earlier if they wanted to. And they paid everybody. That's another thing. They paid Zeke. They paid Amari. You can't pay Dak. You paid DeMarcus Lawrence.
I don't know what's wrong with Jerry. I think they will get it sorted out. I hope they get it sorted out.
They have
to.
What I'm saying? But honestly, who cares?
Yeah,
who cares?
It's the Cowboys.
The Cowboys aren't going anywhere anyways.
I don't care who they get.
If they
get a top quarterback, they'll still be sorry. But
I remember they said that the way you stop Tom Brady from winning a Super Bowl is just putting him on the Cowboys.
It's crazy, man.
But let's move on to the team and a player that actually matters. Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. They've been having their highs and lows. Russell Wilson, he talked about the offensive line not protecting him enough. He talked about him taking the most hits in the NFL since his arrival in the NFL. And a lot of that stems back to the Max Unger trade with the New Orleans Saints and them trading him for Jimmy Graham. And Russell Wilson this past year, he completed 4,200 he threw for 4,200 yards, 40 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. They went 12-4. The Seattle Seahawks, he completed 69% of his passes, nearly 70%. Obviously, they went out sad against the Los Angeles Rams. But, with the way the Seahawks season ended, and I'm going to go first here because I actually have a lot to say. I think that Russell Wilson makes some valid points about his O-line because I remember he was running for his life. The way we talk about Patrick Mahomes running for his life in the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson was running for his life in the Super Bowl, not Super Bowl, but playoffs. In the playoffs, and not only against the Rams, but also like there were seasons where Russell Wilson was just getting pounded and just destroyed, and he was an Iron Man. He would bounce up from a lot of those hits that he would take. But I don't think because Russell Wilson wants to cook.
Yeah, let Russ cook.
Yeah, he wants that hashtag let Russ cook. He wants to be able to show what he can do because in the beginning people were like, oh, Marshawn Lynch, Legion of Boom, and then you talk about Russell Wilson. You were talking about everybody else, but and Russell Wilson was last. You were talking about Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Marshawn Lynch before you talk about Russell Wilson. But now, you don't have Marshawn Lynch anymore. Beast mode is gone. The Legion of Boom is broken up. They're gone. Now it's just him and DK Metcalf in the offense. Let's see what we can do. Your defense is not at all what it used to be. Your secondary is one of the worst in the NFL, arguably the worst in the NFL. Your pass rush is all right. You do get there. Bobby Wagner, Hall of Famer. We all know how great he is. But regardless, Russell Wilson needs to understand that for him to keep cooking the way he's cooking, they had to give up pieces, that are beneficial to him right now, that he could really use right now. So if he wants to cook, he has to understand the sacrifices the team has to make with the salary cap, with certain players on the roster. They had to trade an offensive lineman for him to get a piece to cook. Jimmy Graham. They traded one of your best offensive linemen, which led to what you're complaining about today, the O-line being weak. So that's something right there he has taken into consideration. And not only that, but against the Rams, Russell Wilson didn't play his best game.
No, he didn't.
He was 11 of 27 in his completions. That's 41%. He threw 41% of it. He only completed 41% of his passes in that game against the Rams. He not only did that, but he had 2 touchdowns. He had 1 interception, and he was sacked 5 times. And I don't think people also get he's 1-3 since the LOB era in 2018 broke up. He's 1-3, and that only win comes against a Carson Wentz-less Philadelphia Eagles team. Carson Wentz got hurt in the first quarter, so like his resume since the LOB era, it hasn't been that great, and he has a role in that. He's not, but he has to also look in the mirror and put blame on himself because if you're the QB that we all know you are, because Russell Wilson is a top 5 quarterback in this league, he's arguably the second best QB in this league. And if you're that great, they paid you like that, you have to be able to rise above the negatives on your team. And is it fair? It's not always fair. But is it expected? Yes.
I mean, when you talk about the Seahawks, right? All right, so I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but let's go back to when it all went wrong. Pete Carroll, 1-yard line. Give Marshawn Lynch the ball, please. Would you let him run the ball? And then no, he threw the ball got intercepted. And since that point on, they have just never been the same team. Legion of Boom. And I think with the early part of Russell Wilson's career, with the Seahawks, they focused more on the defense side of the ball. They never really did they really ever give him a true #1 guy? Percy Harwin was good. He was good. They had
Doug Baldwin?
Yeah, Doug Baldwin. He was a deep threat also. Tyler Lockett. But
he had some pieces.
He all right pieces.
Jimmy Graham was there,
but
for
his
a while.
offensive line wasn't really never elite. They were never elite. The Seahawks, well, obviously the defense really carried that team for a couple of seasons. But now they really started to focus more on the offense. But I think with Russell Wilson's point, I think his body's starting to take a toll on the amount of hits that he has been taking. Let me give you a stat, right? So since he got in the league in 2012, he has been sacked 441 times. 441 times he's probably been brought to the ground. And, after a while, yes, you're big, you're bulk. You probably, pick it up and say, okay, I'm good. But after a while, it starts to take a toll on your body. That's 100 more than the next quarterback who's gotten sacked. So he's gotten sacked 441 times, and the next guy has gotten sacked 341 times. So that means he has got sacked more than any other quarterback in the league since he got drafted.
By 100 sacks.
By 100 sacks. That's a lot. I mean, come on. So I think that's where he's coming with it now. That okay, guys. Now,
okay, but that's not an excuse to go 11-27.
It's not. It's not.
And he's complaining after. He might be more so talking about just to get this game also.
Yeah.
Because he was running for his life.
Absolutely.
But dude, you're going up against the number one
with
defense
the Rams.
in the
I mean,
NFL.
you got to give yourself a break.
Exactly.
But also, I think the Seahawks really, when it comes to your guy, you have to focus more on your O-line. You have to protect your guy. And we've seen in the last 5 years, a couple of teams haven't really done a great job of protecting their all-world quarterback, their star quarterback. It's the Texans early on in Deshaun Watson's career. We see with Cincinnati and how that affected Joe Burrow and a couple of these other guys. And I think Russell Wilson, he's just tired of taking the hits. And yes, some of it is to blame with him also for holding the ball too long, for scrambling into, the sacks or some of that. But I think with the Seahawks, now they have to really focus on that O-line because Russell Wilson, he's getting older. He's not young anymore. He can't just pick himself off the floor like he used to, back in the early part of his career. So now he has to start, taking less hits, get some receivers. DK Metcalf, he evolved, but with the Rams, he was a no-show. They need to get some more receivers, some better O-line, and I think, they'll be just fine. They're not trading him. He's not going anywhere.
No. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, but, this could just be the beginning of like a rift.
Absolutely.
And
I think it's just basically sending a message because, at some point you want to keep quiet, you want to toughen it up, but at some point you just like, nah, man, I can't keep taking this many hits.
Another thing about Russ also is because he's always been kind of like the company guy.
Yeah.
He's always been like the nice guy. He just won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
He did.
So he's always been known as this, the company guy, not going to say the wrong things, but now he's like,
exactly.
It's
way too far, guys. I mean, come on. But
bro, fix this shit.
I think they'll fix some of the O-line issues in the offseason, and maybe I mean, do we really think they're Super Bowl contenders? I don't know yet. The playoff contenders, maybe, but obviously when you get to the playoff, anything can happen.
Yeah,
so,
it can. Anything can happen.
I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I somewhat agree with you.
Absolutely.
But we'll be back after this commercial break. We got a lot of other topics here. Steph Curry being overlooked as an MVP candidate yet again. LeBron James making his case for MVP as well.
King.
The Utah Jazz look amazing. Stay tuned. We'll be back with all of those topics and more after this commercial break. Chef Curry.
Yes, sir.
Cooking in the kitchen yet again. You know what I'm saying? Welcome back to First Possession. It's your boy David and John. And we got some more sports topics, but let's move on to the basketball side of things. There's a lot of things going on in the NBA right now. Like I said earlier, Chef Curry is back in his bag. So over the last month, in February, Steph has looking like he's been looking like MVP Steph.
Yep.
Over the last 6 games, these are his numbers: 38 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 57% from the field, 51% from 3 on 14 attempts a game. 14. And shooting 95% at the free throw line. And the question that I want to bring to the table is if Steph Curry's being overlooked as an MVP candidate.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to go first, bro.
Uh-oh.
I think he is.
Uh-oh.
I think he is.
So when we say overlooked, you mean like top 5 MVP candidate?
Yeah, he's a top 5 candidate. And the reason I say he's a top 5 candidate is because Steph is doing things right now that is, for one, on par with his MVP year.
Okay.
That's number one. Literally, I'm looking at the numbers right here. 30 points, 7 assists, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 rebounds, 49%, 50%, 44%, 45% on even more attempts, 91%, 93% on even more free throw attempts. He's literally doing numbers that are just like his MVP year. So he has MVP caliber numbers. And it's not just numbers you need. You need to have winning.
Yep.
They're currently in the playoffs in the West. They're they're 14-12. They have a winning record, and they're 8th in the West.
Okay.
So he's a winning team. They're winning right now.
Yeah.
And not only that, but when you look at the other candidates, they all have legit star number 2s. Kawhi has PG. LeBron has Anthony Davis. Embiid has Simmons. You have also Giannis has Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday.
Okay.
You have all these other players in that conversation who have legit number twos. Even Jokic has Jamal Murray, you know. So, and even on some nights, Michael Porter Jr., who sure, those guys are not elite players. I'm not going to say they are, but they're still better options offensively than Andrew Wiggins and Smelly Oubre. Smelly
He's
Oubre.
been playing great,
dude.
Let's give him some
He's
credit.
only playing good because he knows he's going to get traded. It's the only reason he's playing good. Yo, I'm not even going to lie. Him and Lonzo, when they heard they were going to get traded for each other, all of a sudden they start hooping.
No, with Kelly, like, I don't know what's wrong because honestly, when we watched him last year in Phoenix, he was playing great basketball. Yeah. He was playing really good. And
but
I
he's
thought,
inconsistent.
And when he got picked up, we were like, okay, Clay might be hurt, but this is a good pickup for the Warriors. But obviously, the early part of the season, he struggled bad. Now he seems to be finding his rhythm. But when it comes to Steph being overlooked as an MVP candidate, right, I'll just throw 5 names out there, right? And tell me Steph, because when I look at Steph Curry, he's having a great season. And, you know, I don't want people to look at me like I'm a hater.
You are.
I'm not a hater.
Hater.
I love Steph, the greatest shooter ever. I give Steph his props. But I don't think he's a top 5 MVP candidate right now. Right now, I do not think he's a top 5 MVP candidate.
So who's your 5?
Why? Okay, I'll throw out my names. Joel Embiid, all right? LeBron James, all right?
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic. Jokic.
That makes no sense, bro.
All right. Kevin Durant.
That's fine. I know you're gonna
and
have
Kawhi
KD.
Leonard. Now, Steph probably has better numbers
no
than
Giannis?
those guys. No, take Giannis out.
Oh, wow.
Come on, take Giannis out.
Okay, that's shocking.
All right. Bron, Joel, Jokic, KD, and Kawhi. Each of those guys are either, well, except Jokic, they're top 3 in the conference.
Okay, but why about, you can't just ignore Jokic. You can't ignore Jokic.
Okay, Brandon.
What's the argument for Jokic?
Jokic is 17, but he's playing phenomenal. Look at his numbers across the board. He's almost averaging a triple-double.
Okay, but
and we know the Warriors haven't been, not the Warriors, the Nuggets haven't been healthy.
Okay,
we have MPJ missing time. We had Jamal Murray missed time. Well, obviously, he hasn't found his groove yet. But with Steph, my problem with Steph and the MVP candidate is they're only 2 games above 500.
Okay, but look at the Nuggets. The Nuggets are 3 games above 500.
Above 500.
The
They're 14 and 12. Okay, but Jokic has better numbers than Steph.
That's still debatable.
Come on.
You know that, right?
Come on, look at the numbers.
Steph is shooting 50, 45.
Agreed. He's playing great. But also, let me remind you, right?
Remind me.
As some of y'all might know, I'm a James Harden super fan. Have I seen this before?
Oh my gosh.
Have I seen this before?
Where
a player has to score 40 just for his team to be alive? I have seen this movie before. All right? I've seen James Harden carry his team countless amount of times with nobody on his squad. I'm talking about the pre-Chris Paul years, the pre-Russell Westbrook years.
This is what I don't like about Harden fans.
I have seen this picture before, so I don't want to say I'm not impressed because what Steph is doing is really impressive. But I'm really not impressed.
What I don't get about this is that
I've seen this before.
What I don't get is let's be honest here. Was Steph Curry's 2016 season amazing?
Absolutely unanimous.
One of the greatest years ever,
unanimous, yeah.
Right? He's literally putting up numbers identical to his MVP season that you just called one of the greatest years ever. So statistically, it is one of the greatest years ever. And he has to carry scrubs.
Okay, let me also throw this at you.
And I'm not saying all of them are scrubs.
Okay.
Not saying that. But we know he's carrying a load that we know without him, they'd be a lottery team.
Absolutely. Let me also throw this at you, right? Kevin Durant's number this year. His number. No. Hear me out.
Why you gotta bring up KD, bro?
Because he's a top 5 MVP candidate in my book.
But what about Jokic? Because I'm looking at Jokic's numbers.
Let me also throw this at you, right? Kevin Durant's numbers this year is better than his MVP year.
Oh my God.
Joel Embiid is having one of the best years we've seen in recent years.
If you want to have KD over Steph, I actually don't even have an issue with that. But the thing, I'm looking at Jokic, right? Jokic is averaging 27, 11, and 9 on 57, 39, 85 shooting split.
11, and 9. That's damn near a triple-double.
That's great. But Steph, he's shooting way more threes, way more difficult jumpers, and he's still just as efficient.
Okay.
What you mean okay?
I mean, Jokic, come on, 27, 10, and 9. That's damn near a triple-double. We just see when the last couple of
doubles. That's what we're doing.
We just seen the last couple of years. We gave somebody an MVP for having so much triple-doubles.
But we don't even agree with that in hindsight now.
I know we don't.
And you have KD above Steph. And look, KD's having a great year.
Yeah.
But you use winning against Steph. They've only won one more game than the Warriors.
But I'll throw this at you, right?
In the East.
I'll throw this at you, right? when I look at Steph, I don't want to do this. But
brother.
it gives me reminders of Russell Westbrook's MVP year.
Dude,
listen.
What?
Great numbers, bad team. Yes, you're carrying the load, but your record is not good enough. That's how I see this.
No, look. I'm not saying that Steph should win. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Steph should be a candidate.
I put him at number 6. That's good enough. I put him at number 6.
But you can't.
I just think the other guys. I just think the top 5 that I just named are having better seasons than him, and they're winning.
The thing is, you're talking about winning, but the Nuggets have one more game in their win. Actually, they just have one less loss. They're half a game better than the Warriors. The Nets are literally one game better than the Warriors, and they're in the East,
and they're
they've lost to the
top 3, right?
And they've lost to the Pistons. They've lost to the Wizards twice.
Okay.
So, and even in one of those games,
let's not act like the Warriors weren't getting blown out by 30 and 40
by who
to start the season.
By who?
By good teams, but still,
by
that's
the Nets and the Bucks. The Nets lost to the Wizards.
Okay,
twice.
They're bad losses
they let
in
Russell
the NBA.
Westbrook game
it happens.
They let Russell Westbrook game.
It happens. Come on, bro. They're bad losses in the NBA. The Bucks
Pistons?
The Bucks lost to the Knicks. So what? What now?
Pistons.
They're bad losses in the NBA. It happens. Who cares? The Clippers lost to the Mavs by 50. Come on. By 50, bro. Come on. So I'm saying it happens. Listen, I'm not discrediting what Steph Curry has done this season. I'm saying it's phenomenal, but I think the guys in front of him are just having better numbers. They have better numbers than him, and they're winning, and they're top 2 or 3 seeds in their conference.
I mean,
that's all I'm saying.
Agree to disagree.
I don't think he's being overlooked. I think he's number 6 is perfectly fine. It's
He's perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine.
Gotta
win more games, you know.
We gotta have to agree to disagree on that. But yesterday, man, the Utah Jazz. They made a statement. They made a real statement. And for those who do not know, they faced the Milwaukee Bucks. They beat them 129-115. Giannis came out, had a pretty good game, actually. He had 29, 15, and 6, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 60% from the field, even knocked down a 3. And then on the Utah Jazz side of things, Donovan Mitchell with 26, even though he shot 6 of 20 from the field. But the big story, I think, was Gobert and Joe Ingles. Even Jordan Clarkson, all 3 of them pitched in with 20-point performances and excuse me. Gobert with 27 and 12, Joe Ingles with 27, 5 and 3, and both of them shot over 70% from the field each. And Joe Ingles knocked down 7 of his 9 3-pointers. You also have Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, who's my 6th man of the year winner right now. He had 25, 5 and 4. Shot 55% from the field, 36% from behind the arc. As a team, they look collectively amazing right now.
Absolutely.
They're currently number 1, not only in the Western Conference with a 21-5 record, but they're number 1 in the NBA. They're the best team in the league right now. They're top 5 in offensive rating. Actually, they're 3rd in offensive rating, 6th in points per game, 3rd in opponents' points per game, and they're 3rd in defensive rating, and they're 1st in net rating. So this is an amazing team right now. They're outstanding on both sides of the ball. And, you know, it kind of goes back to that Shaq thing that he told Donovan Mitchell. He's like, look, I don't think you could be a number 1 guy. And it seems like since then, this team has taken that to heart, and they're trying to be that team that Shaq said they can't be. And it really begs the question, is it time for us to take the Jazz seriously?
Yes. It's time for us to take the Jazz seriously. And look, I know a lot of people want to say, oh, we've seen this movie before. The Jazz play great in the regular season, and they go to the playoffs, and they somehow fold. Okay, when you look at the last couple of seasons, I mean, some of their playoff losses, I would say, are excusable because the Rockets had their number for like 2 or 3 straight years. Yes, they beat OKC in the first round.
That was tough luck.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the Rockets were beating them like in 5 or 6 games, so it was really never close. And Donovan Mitchell was young, and I think now he's a more mature player. I think he took what Shaq said to heart because absolutely, they're playing with a lot of fire. I'm talking about a lot of fire in their belly. And when you look at the Utah Jazz as a team, I think they're a complete team. When you talk about the offense, they're number 3 in offensive efficiency. They're number 5 or 6 in defensive efficiency. And, you know, yes, I had my might take on Rudy Gobert here and there, but now he's a phenomenal defender when it comes to protecting the rim because you don't get nothing easy with Gobert in the paint.
Nothing.
I'm talking about
people be disrespecting them, bro.
Nothing easy.
They act like he doesn't do
I
anything.
was watching one of their games. I'm all like, wow, like bro, you can't. There's no free layups. You have to earn every bucket
and not
you
only
get
that,
at the
the
paint.
thing with Gobert, I don't want to cut you off, but the thing with Gobert, people don't understand his impact is like protecting the rim, being there. It forces teams to have to take shots they're not comfortable with.
And with the Jazz, when you have somebody that is back there in the paint that sits there and blocks every shot, you can easily run guys off the 3-point line and tell them, go in there. We have somebody who can contest your shot. And when you look at the Utah Jazz, all right, I think they're different from last year because why? Okay, for number one, they didn't have Bogdanovich. He's a shooter. He's a playmaker. He's somebody who can take some of the scoring burden off of Donovan Mitchell. And now he's back. He's healthy. He's scoring, I think, 20 points per game. Joe Ingles is looking like Joe Ingles, you know, the Paul George torture. You know, we know what he can bring to the table. A good defensive player, a good 3-and-D guy.
He can play make a little bit.
Absolutely. He can. He takes some of the handling responsibilities off of Donovan Mitchell also. And I think the key point about the Jazz come postseason time will be how impactful can Mike Conley be when it comes to the playoffs? Because yes, he had a bad game 7. He stunk it up, you know, in game 7.
The other games he played well.
He played all right. But obviously game 7 is the biggest of the biggest game. They needed him to play phenomenal, and he didn't play well. So when I look at the Jazz, can they stay healthy? Can Mike Conley show up when he needs to? Because we already know what we're going to get from Donovan Mitchell. We're going to get 30 to 40 points a game when he needs to. And we know we're going to get about 4 to 5 blocks from Rudy Gobert. We're going to get a couple of threes from Joe Ingles. And now you add that extra guy in Bogdanovich who can bring some scoring, stretching the floor here and there. And now I think a guy that we don't talk about enough, Jordan Clarkson off the bench. He's also a candidate for 6th Man of the Year. You know, he's putting up numbers off the bench. And, you know, it's about time we start giving the Utah Jazz some respect. Now, can they contend with the Lakers and the Clippers? That's still a question that needs to be answered. But until then, I think they're a legit team. And I don't even think they're going to have that problem if they're the number 1 seed. Because then they'll make the Lakers and the Clippers play in the second round. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's about time we start showing them some love and respecting them as a team because they beat Milwaukee twice. They've also won 17 of their last 18 games. 17 of the last 18 games. They beat the Bucks twice. They beat the Mavs, beat Indiana, beat a lot of quality wins in that stretch. 17 of the last 18. And I don't know if Shaq motivated them or whatever, but you know, they're looking real scary and real legit.
The thing is, though, look, here's the thing about the Jazz. The Jazz look great right now.
Yep, absolutely.
And like, I'm not saying that it's impossible for them to be contenders. But the issue with the Jazz that I see is that they just don't have another legit star.
Yep.
Like, Gobert's a star-level impact player.
Okay,
he has impact, star-level impact. But Gobert is not offensively a star. He's not a star on the offensive end. And I think in the playoffs, you need 2 legit offensive stars. And maybe, like, the combination of the other guys can equal 1 star.
Absolutely.
In addition to Donovan Mitchell.
Like the 2019 Raptors.
Yeah, like that. But that would mean you have to believe in D. Mitch a lot.
And so when it comes playoff time, right? Now, when it comes playoff time, when it comes to big moments, it's like, okay, role players take a step back. This is a superstars game. Now it's about your superstars making a stop, going to get a bucket. And we know D. Mitch can do that. But what happens when the other team doubles him? What happens when the other team has a defender that gives them hell? Exactly. Who's that second guy that can really, take some of the pressure off of Donovan Mitchell? I think Bogdanovich can be that guy. Mike Conley, if he's on, can be that guy.
I don't know if they can be that guy.
I think they can. They look really good this year.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to sound like Shaq when I say this here, but has Donovan Mitchell really improved? Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Like,
I'll say he's shooting more efficiently.
He's shooting more efficient.
I'll say that.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm not trying to be like a numbers guy.
Okay.
Because I know you can improve outside of the numbers. I think as a playmaker, he's gotten better. He's gotten better. He's gotten better with his decision making.
Yep.
But let's just be real. Like, as a player, has he gotten that much better? Like, he's still what he was in his sophomore season to me.
I mean,
like,
you can say that about a lot of guys because not many guys come into the league with a package, with a bag, like I would like to say. He came out of college with a handle, came out of college with a shot, the mid-range here and there, the three-pointer, Would you say Jason Tatum has improved vastly since his rookie year?
Tatum has improved.
In what?
His defense has gotten better.
I'm talking about offensive, scoring the ball.
I mean, but offensively, his production, you can see his numbers getting better.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Because
D. Mitch's numbers have been
because he came in and he was the #1 option from the get-go.
Okay, so do you think that he can? Okay, if that's the case, doesn't that mean you essentially think D. Mitch came in the league as somebody that could be a #1? If you think that the Jazz are contenders?
Obviously, nobody thought that because he was obviously drafted, was it 13th or 14th that he 13th. Was drafted. Nobody seen him that he was going to come out the gates and immediately hit the deck and start scoring as he is right now. But, I think, he's improved with obviously his decision-making, assist numbers, obviously your IQ as the game, grows on you. But I think the Jazz, we need to take them serious, to be honest, because not many teams have top 5 offense and defense in the league, and the Utah Jazz have that, and we need to start giving them some love, some credit.
I just think that as good as the Jazz are, I think the playoffs is about having legit stars.
Yeah,
and like Gobert is not an offensive star. Maybe Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, and all of them can combine.
They need to show out this playoffs. Though. They need to show out
because they're having a great season. They can't go out in like the first.
Quinn Snyder is a sleeper for Coach of the Year.
I think he's gonna win it.
Yeah,
if they get the first, I think he's gonna win it.
Or Steve Nash, but.
But another team, or excuse me, another team that is a contender, but in more specific, a player on that team, LeBron James,
the washed king,
a bubble ring, LeBron, Mickey Mouse ring, LeBron James. He had an incredible performance against the who they just come back on,
Thunder,
the Thunder, and look, I've been hearing a lot of Embiid MVP conversation.
Okay.
I've been hearing a lot of people throw Steph's, or not a lot of people, but I threw Steph's name in that conversation.
Don't do it.
There are a lot of guys in that conversation. You threw Jokic out there also.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to start giving LeBron the MVP now.
Wow.
And when I say start giving him the MVP, it's not necessarily like, look, we need to give him the MVP every year type of thing.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of Bron sexuals feel that way. But it's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is we need to give LeBron the MVP this year. This year. And that's what I want to get into right now, because LeBron James this season, mind you, he's 36.
Okay.
This man is averaging 26 points a game, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 50% from the field, 39% from 3, and 72% at the free throw line. And just yesterday against, it wasn't the Thunder, it was the Grizzlies. Just yesterday against the Grizzlies, while being down, because I remember I was watching that game, while being down 22-2, making a comeback from a 20-point deficit. LeBron goes out there and drops 28 points, 8 assists, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, shot 60% from the field. He was 1 of 4 from 3, I'll admit, and 64% at the free throw line. But defensively, he was amazing. He's gonna make an all defensive team this year because he's made it an approach to that side of the ball.
Yep.
Like as if he's in his prime. Like his defensive abilities this year and capabilities have been amazing. And sure, you could say he has Anthony Davis, but over the last couple of games, he has not had AD.
Yep.
He's been legit carrying, or I wouldn't say carrying because it is a team effort. Dennis Schroeder is showing a lot of effort this year defensively, but he's doing his job on the defensive side of the ball better than he's done in a lot of his recent years. Because let's be honest, we all know LeBron could have made a couple more all-defensive teams, but
absolutely,
he just chose not to play defense anymore, and he reserved himself on the offensive end. But now, because he has other people that can take care of that load on offense, like Harrell, Schroeder can run the offense if he wants to. He has the chance to give himself some breaks on that side of the ball, so that way he can give some more effort and energy on the defensive end. And I think he's the MVP because I know people would say Embiid, but the Sixers are 4-4 against teams above 500. They're 4-4.
Most of those are without Joel, but
most of them are without Joel. But they've also lost to teams that are below 500, and they've lost to teams that are above 500. And look, the Lakers have some losses on their resume too. I'm not saying they're perfect. They lost to the Pistons. You get what I'm saying? But hey, the Pistons are beating good temes.
They beat the Celtics last night.
Yeah, and they beat the Nets. So maybe we're sleeping. Nah, we're not sleeping on the Pistons. They suck. Well, regardless, though, I think that LeBron is the MVP, man.
No, I don't. I don't think he's the MVP. Why? Because I trust the process. Okay, I trust the process, and the process is already here. Joel Embiid is the MVP. Listen, okay, when we look at the numbers, right? I think Joel is having one of his his best year.
Yeah,
his best year so far. Because this year he finally looks healthy. He finally looks in shape. All right, now when we talk about MVP, right? Now, the Sixers are the #1 team in the East. And now let's look at Joel's numbers. 29 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks. I would say he's the most dominant big in the game right now. And we also know, like, when it comes to MVP and all these MVP talks, right? At the end of the season,
Wait, is he more dominant than Jokic?
Yes.
When you say dominant, are you talking about like
imposing your will
so
on a defensive play in a team? Yes.
But that's not really fair. Because dominance is not just physical. You can dominate the game without being physical.
But you know, Jokic, he's like he like dominates people with like skill, the passes. I'm talking about Embiid, like physically dominates you and like scares you. And you also take into account with his numbers. Obviously, I already mentioned his numbers, 30 and 11. The Sixers are the #1 team in the East. They have arguably a top 3 defense in the East right now. Obviously, Ben Simmons has a lot to do with that, but also Joel, I think right now he's a top 3 defensive player of the year candidate right now with Ben Simmons on his team. And, you know, when you take all the things into account, Joel Embiid is having a phenomenal year. LeBron, those high numbers of minutes he's playing, I don't think he can keep that up. You know, obviously he has to because AD, you know, obviously is hurt and whatnot. Yeah. But the last couple of games that they went to overtime, they played a lot of bad teams. The Thunder, the Pistons twice, actually.
Actually, I think it was the Thunder twice.
Yeah, it was the Thunder twice and the Pistons that they went to overtime with. So why am I supposed to give you credit for that? Yeah, you have to play who's in front of you, but also you got to win also. And the Lakers did that, and I give LeBron extreme credit for that. But when I look at Joel, he's had a better season, better numbers, and his team is #1 in the East. I love LeBron and all because I think when people want to do this thing with LeBron is, okay, he's year 18, you know, he's this and that. But Joel, he's also young. He's having a career year, his MVP. He's averaging 30 and 11. I don't see how you can take it away from Joel Embiid.
But the thing is, you're talking about losses, but they just lost the Trailblazers.
They did.
And not only did they lose to the Blazers, but Enes Kanter is their starting center, bro. Like Embiid had a good game. He had 35 and 9 on 52% from the field. But bro, like you should drop 50. You got Enes Kanter on you.
I mean, you can make a case for anybody to come on. Enes Kanter is not no bum. You can't just
what?
You can't just bully him into the paint.
On defense, he's a bum.
You can't just bully him into the paint, bro.
We could get a bucket on Enes Kanter.
Okay, that's cap.
I'm not even lying, bro. We could get
cap.
I'm serious.
That's
Enes
cap.
Kanter, if you're out there, we could get a bucket on you.
I have nothing to do with
I'm serious.
that.
I can get a bucket on him.
Okay, maybe if he comes guard me out there in the 3-point line, maybe I can beat him to the rim. Maybe, but still he's an NBA player, and in his cancers, he's cold on the offensive end.
Offense.
On offense, he's
in that game, he shot 41%, bro.
Solid big.
He shot 41%.
But I'm saying, obviously, it happens. Yeah, it happens. The Sixers had a chance to win the game, and they didn't. But when I look at Joel and the season is having,
and mind you, they've lost to Portland twice.
They have
over the last 5 games.
Yeah, they have 5 days rather.
5 days, bro. The NBA, bro.
Yeah.
No, so think about that. Come on now,
I mean, bro. Bad loss. Would I even consider that a bad loss?
That's a bad loss.
I wouldn't consider that a bad loss. Portland's a good team. They're all right team.
Portland is missing CJ and Nurkic.
I mean, the Lakers lost to the Pistons. Even without AD, you should be beating the Pistons. I mean, it's the Pistons. They stink. But, you know.
Yeah, the Pistons stink. Don't get me wrong. But, like, dude, first of all, look, Embiid has been amazing. Yeah. But for one, he's in the East. Number 2, LeBron's in the West. Number 3, without Anthony Davis, they still were winning.
And I don't think LeBron can keep up these minutes. He's playing extremely high minutes. And the last 3 games, he's averaging 43 minutes per
overtime.
game.
Those are overtime.
Absolutely.
And actually, fun fact, you know, no team has ever won 4 straight overtime games. No team in NBA history. And LeBron did that without Anthony Davis.
It's interesting. No, it was 3. They won 3 straight.
Oh, well, whatever. Yeah. No one team ever won 3 straight then. So, what do you got to say about that?
Yeah, LeBron's having a phenomenal season.
Dude,
because I think
he's the best player in the league.
Okay, that's another discussion for another day. But I still think it's Kevin Durant. But
okay, you're not gonna. Wait. Let's get into some real quick.
Okay.
How can you say LeBron is not the best in the league?
My God.
And he's been doing like
we've had this discussion before. In the last 5 years, Kevin Durant has dominated the league. He has 2 chips. The one that he lost, he was injured. Okay, let's get that straight.
On a team, what team was he on, bro?
The Warriors.
So does that not matter?
why does it? He was the best player on the court with LeBron, with Steph, with Clay. He was the best player on the
if
court.
LeBron left Cleveland and went to the Warriors and just dominated, would we call him the best player?
I mean, what difference was that with what he did with Miami?
What difference was that? They beat him.
2 Hall of Famers.
Dude, first of all, Kevin Durant lost to the Warriors.
Okay.
Up 3-1.
If you knew me back then, I criticized them.
He was up 3-1.
I did. I understand.
So why are you just giving him the best player award just because of what? Because he dominated Rodney Hood? And,
come on.
Jordan
Clarkson? First of all.
And gave J.R. Smith buckets.
Kyrie was on that team with Kevin Love.
But that team was not going to beat the Cavs either.
Hey, it is what it is. It happens. Would you say the same for when LeBron beat OKC in 2012 when they were still young?
Bro, that was a whole different situation, bro.
I'm saying, bro, we've all forgotten KD, the decision, this and that.
We didn't forget.
Hey, we've all moved on. It's time for you to move on.
I mean, we've moved
Steph
on.
got a ring. You should be happy. KD got Steph a ring.
I'm not even too... Look, are you serious?
I'm just saying.
Steph got a ring before KD, bro.
Let's all move on.
Steph got a ring before him. Don't do that. All I got to say is, look, let's say this before we go to break. LeBron James has consistently proved that he's the best player. He's the last one to win a championship. So you got to throw some respect on that ring. Okay. I know you want to say bubble stuff.
I won't be that guy.
But everybody went through the bubble.
I won't be that guy.
Everybody went through the bubble, so you got to give him credit for getting out of it.
Absolutely.
Champion. And Kevin Durant, he has to prove that he's still the best. If you think he's the best, he has to prove it. He has to win this
How
year.
will he prove it? Winning
he has
this
to
year,
win.
It's going to happen.
Okay.
It's going to happen.
I have to see it to believe it.
It's going to happen.
I have to see it to believe it.
Okay.
But that's enough of LeBron MVP stuff. You know, this guy's off the perks.
Joel is the MVP frontrunner right now.
I mean, I disagree.
Okay.
If I had a vote, I'd give it to LeBron. But I wouldn't be mad if Embiid won. It's not. It's one of those things that it's really close. But when we get back from commercial break, we got some topics about Ben Simmons. We're going to talk about the most underrated and overrated player in the NBA. And also, stay tuned for my harsh truth about Carmelo Anthony. Got a lot. Stay tuned. We'll be right back shortly. We're back. And, man, we got a couple topics. It's your boys, David and Jono. Last few segments before we end this episode. And we're just going to get right into it. We got some NBA stuff to talk about. And the first person we're going to talk about, or topic I should say, is the Sixers and Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons had a great performance against Damian Lillard. And there's been an overlying question about Ben Simmons' respect. And I want to talk about this because I feel like Ben Simmons, the things that he does well gets overlooked because of what he can't do. And he even came out and said he feels like he's the best defender in basketball. And I don't know if it's Doc Rivers putting this mindset in him, just focus on what you can do instead of what you can't, because that's a really smart mindset to put in a player. But it can be detrimental if he becomes just that good at what he can't, or excuse me, what he can do, and just not care about what he can't do. But let me know, what do you think about Ben Simmons? Do you think he's too disrespected and gets too much hate because of his lack of a jumper, or do you think he's properly rated?
Okay, so when it comes to Ben Simmons, right, I think people like me and other people, the reason why we, criticize him so much is because we know what he can be. We know how good of a player he can be when he's actually aggressive. And obviously, I'm not talking about the defensive side of the ball. I'm talking about the offensive side of the ball, because defensively, I think he's the best defender in the NBA right now. Last year, I thought, okay, he was probably top 2 defender. He should have won it if he didn't get hurt, but he got hurt. And, obviously he wasn't eligible to win it anymore. So, obviously, Giannis won it. But this year, I think he's the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. He's an absolute pest on the defensive side of the ball. I'm talking about he can guard 1 through 5. Literally can guard 1 through 5.
I wouldn't say every 5, though.
I mean,
like, Cat is going to give him work.
Not really. There aren't many good 5s in the NBA right now. It's just,
you still have
like Joel Jokic.
Would you put him on Jokic?
Who would you put on Jokic?
I don't put anybody.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
But
so
you can't just say he can guard 5.
I mean, okay, so
there's a different level of physicality.
I understand. But back to Ben Simmons. When I look at him defensively, I think he's up there, and I'm talking about with the elites. But now I look at the offensive side of the ball, and that's where my issue with Ben Simmons comes, because he's a great player. He's, obviously he's a passer, he's an assist maker, a playmaker, somebody who can pass the ball, somebody who has great vision. But my problem with Ben Simmons is he's attempting only 9 shots per game. All right, when with the Sixers, when Joel doesn't have it going or when he's having a bad night, who's that person? Who's that second guy that can take some of the load off of him? I know the Steph Curry pickup, Tobias Harris can get you buckets here and there. But with Ben Simmons is only averaging 14 points a game on 9 attempts per game. I think if he takes that up a notch to just about 12 to 15 attempts a game, he can be giving them 18 to 20 points a game. And I think with Ben Simmons becoming more aggressive on the offensive side of the ball, that will make him even more scary. Because I don't want to say Ben Simmons is like Giannis, where if he says, I'm going to the paint and nobody can stop me, he's going to the paint and nobody can stop him. Because he's built and he's a point guard. Well, he plays like a point guard. And it's more times than not, point guards guard him, guys that are smaller than him. And I think if he becomes more aggressive and takes more shots, that will help Philly go from one level to another. That might help them take them over the hump. I don't think they will get over the hump, obviously, with the Nets and the Bucks, but I think Ben Simmons has to be more aggressive on the offense. I have no problem with him on the defense side of the ball, because on defense, I think it's great, phenomenal, 10 out of 10. But when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, that's where my issue comes. He needs to take more shots. And I'm not talking about three-pointers, obviously, but get a 10-footer, get a 12-footer, something like that. If Ben Simmons gets something like that in that range, 10 to 12 feet, just a jumper, something soft, I'm not saying go out there and be Steph Curry, just something soft. He will take his game to the next level. He's only attempting 9 shots per game. I need to see about 12 to 15 shots per game. Okay. Because I think the more aggressive he is, the more lethal the 76ers can be as a team.
Over the last 10 games, Ben Simmons is averaging 16, 8, and 7 in the last 10 games he's played. And not only is he doing that, but he's averaging 11 shot attempts a game as well, shooting 62% from the field. So when he's aggressive, he can put the ball in the hoop.
Exactly.
And in those games, they're actually 8-2, and 2 of their losses come against Detroit and the Trailblazers, and they also have a loss against the Trailblazers on the 4th of February where he didn't play. They lost by 16 in that game.
Oh.
And they have some credible wins during that stretch as well. They beat the Nets, they beat Indiana, they also beat the Lakers, and they beat Boston. So they have credible wins during that stretch. So I just think that a lot of people forget they were 1 shot away from the conference finals. They were 1 shot away.
You had to go to overtime and win it also. But
I mean, of course,
there's
a good chance they could have lost. But considering how close they were that year and how they lost, there was hope. Absolutely. And Elton Brand ruined that when he brought in Tobias Harris, gave him a max, getting rid of Jimmy Butler, losing JJ Redick, and then they lost like a lot of their players, a lot of their shooters, Landry Shamet, Robert Covington. They lost their shooters and their identity. So when you lose that identity, you got to gain it back, and they gained it back with Seth Curry and moving Tobias to the 4 and getting rid of Al Horford with addition by subtraction in that area, and Danny Green is another shooter on the team. Shake Milton, who's been defending great this year.
Absolutely. And we're seeing a history with Ben Simmons. Well, obviously seeing a pattern this season. The more aggressive Ben Simmons is, the more lethal the 76ers can be as a team. When he takes more shots, when he's averaging more points, his job is not to score the ball. I'm not saying he has to go out there and average 30. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying his season average of 9 shots per game, he's got to take that up a notch. Take 3 more, make it 12 shots per game. You know what I'm saying? He's averaging 14 on 9 shots per game. If he takes 12 shots, he's shooting 62% from the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Take that up to 12 shots per game. He will give you about 18 to 20. Imagine Joel Embiid, right? Averaging his low 30. Tobias chipping in about 16, 18. Seth Curry is giving you about 12 with Danny Green and the shooters they have. And Ben Simmons is giving you a good 18 to 20 points per game. The Sixers can be real scary. Scarier than they are right now. And that's just my own issue with Ben Simmons. He's got to be more aggressive because the 76ers are going to need it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because you can't rely on Joel Embiid to give you 40 every night. He's a big guy, that's going to take a toll on his body. Exactly. With Joel's health, you never know when he might go down. I hope he never goes down, but you never know with Joel. So Ben Simmons has to be more aggressive.
To step up on that offense.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I more so agree on that. He has to become better offensively. But I think he does get a little disrespected. People act like he's trash. You act like he's trash.
Okay, I don't act like he's trash.
Yes, you do,
no,
bro.
No, I'm just saying I expect more from Ben Simmons.
I mean, but
somebody of his talent and somebody of his caliber, I expect more. I expect more on the offensive end for sure.
Does Ben Simmons have skill?
Skill?
What you mean?
I'll say he has skill. But
Okay,
when
then
you talk
Giannis
about
has to have
skill,
skill.
when you talk about skill, though, you gotta be able to shoot the ball because that's a skill also.
Okay. Wait. Shooting is the most important skill, right?
Yeah, I would say yes because
Okay.
you gotta put the ball
Okay.
in the hoop if you're not
But-
a big guy.
Okay.
Okay,
Does Giannis have skill?
minimum skill. Minimum skill for Giannis. Listen.
Because you can't say Simmons has
Bro,
skill. And
when you talk about
Giannis
Giannis, but you got guys like D Book saying we're in good shape. I mean, come on. That's a 2-time MVP getting disrespected like that. We're in good shape. Come on,
dude, that's not fair.
he takes him. I applaud Giannis for taking him at least. You know what I'm saying? But most times they're
I
not.
don't know why y'all feel the
Most
need
times
to get
they're
on
not. It
Giannis
just
for not
be
being able
way
to shoot.
off. Most times they're not because when it comes to the playoffs,
Okay,
you can't
and
keep
you can
running
say that
and-
about so many other
you
players.
Can't keep
you
run-
can say
Bro,
that about so many other players.
You
bro.
can't keep running and dunking in the playoffs. All right, it's not gonna happen because in the playoffs,
Or
in
he
the-
just doesn't have a great number 2.
in the that's where we're going today.
But I don't even want to get into that.
That's where we're going today. No, we're not
If
gonna
you
do
care
that.
about so much, pick him as your overrated player.
We're not gonna do that today. We're not gonna do that.
But
let's move on.
Let's move on to our next topic. We got who's the most underrated player and who's the most overrated player this year. He's gonna go on with his underrated player, and I'm gonna give the overrated player. So y'all stay tuned for that part. But what you guys your underrated
player? Look, I know the Spurs are boring, and none of us really watch them because they're not fun. And you know the Big Three era is over, and Kawhi left, and Greg Popovich, and the Spurs they're boring. They play boring offense, but they're playing absolutely great this year. They're 6th in the West, right? DeMar DeRozan, I don't know if he's an all-star this year because you know there's a lot of guys that are putting up greater numbers than he is, but the Spurs are looking really good. And DeMar DeRozan, obviously, as we said, you know, he's playing. I think he's playing more power forward this year than he's playing small forward because you know they put the 2 guards in there and Keldon Johnson. So DeMar DeRozan is playing a lot more forward, and he has been absolutely phenomenal. He's averaging 23 points per game. The Spurs are 6th in the West, and they're actually winning games. They're back to San Antonio Spurs basketball. They're moving the ball. DeMar DeRozan looks more settled in the Spurs offense, and he's playing absolutely great basketball. So that would be my underrated player, somebody who's under the radar, somebody who nobody really pays attention to. I mean, it's hard to really keep up with the Spurs because, number one, they're boring to watch, and number two, we've had a lot of explosiveness from other guys this year when you think about Steph, Joel, LeBron, KD, Kyrie, Harden, and all these guys across the league. It's so hard to keep up with all these players that are having great seasons and great nights. But today, I'm telling you guys, if you don't already know, DeMar DeRozan's having a great season, and he's my underrated player so far this season, and he deserves a lot of respect.
Yeah, I respect that. DeMar, he got disrespected even by ESPN's little list. They
Exactly.
had him. I think like what?
I think they had Lonzo Ball above
They had
him.
Lonzo above him.
Jesus
They had
Christ.
that was Tyler Hero was I think above
Ridiculous.
DeMar DeRozan
Ridiculous.
also. That was ridiculous. But now we're here for my overrated player.
Oh my god.
And yeah, you already know. You already know who I'm going with. Ice Trey himself, bruh. Ice Trey. Look, man, I got nothing against Trae Young personally. People think I hate Trae Young. I got nothing against Trae Young personally.
The second coming of Steph Curry.
And that's my issue. That's my issue, bro. Like when people sit there and say that dumb shit, and I'm
Lord.
bro, don't do that. You know, like because Trae. Here's the thing with Trae. Trae's a great player, but I don't look at him as an elite player. And a lot of people look at him as an elite player because of his numbers.
Yeah,
he's putting up
numbers can be deceiving.
Numbers are so deceiving, bro. He's averaging 26 and 9, and it's hard to argue against that.
Yeah.
But like, look at the other factors of his game. He's shooting 42% from the field, which isn't great, but he is shooting 36 to 37% from 3, which is around league average.
That's good.
Shooting 6 attempts a game, 88% from the free throw line, but he's turning the ball over 4 times a game, which isn't good.
Yeah.
And not only that, but Trae thinks he's Steph Curry. Like, honestly, bro. Like, if you just go and watch a Hawks game, right? Trae will pull up from 30.
Takes a lot of deep ones.
A lot of them deep threes. And Trae has occasional highlight deep threes. But he doesn't make enough of them to be taking as many as he takes.
You can't make them if you don't take them.
Okay, but not as much as he takes, bro.
Yeah, I feel you. He takes a lot of bad shots.
A lot of bad shots. And I think that Trae... Even John Collins called him out. He was like, bro, get us involved in the offense more. Don't just have us stand around in the corner and spot up. You know, like John Collins is averaging 18 and 8 on a year that he's a contract season. And he wants that max.
Yeah, he does.
He wants a max. He's shooting well. I'll give him that, but it's not enough
Yeah.
He has to be giving you more offensive production than this. He needs to be a 20-point per game scorer by now.
I think he has the talent.
He has the talent and skill, but Trey needs to get him involved in the offense more. Not only that, DeAndre Hunter is having a great sophomore year, averaging 17 and 5, shooting 51% from the field, 37% from three. You know, you got other players on the team stepping up. Clint Capella having some monster games here and there. Kevin Huerter averaging 12 on 43% from the field, 41% from three. And the thing is also the Hawks are a bottom half defensive team.
Oh.
They're 18th in defensive rating, and they're 16th in opponents' points per game. And a lot of that is because they have to cover for Trae Young. Trae is just that bad on defense.
I mean, when you're at that size, how much defense can you really play?
Okay, that's
you can't stay in front of anybody. You can't block anybody.
I'm not really necessarily blaming Trae, but when people put Trae in certain conversations among elite point guards, you got to take stuff like this into consideration. You know, and height, yes, it's out of his control. His size is out of his control. Even though he can work out.
Come on.
I'm just saying.
Come on.
Because he's skinny. Trae's small.
And sometimes when you have that offensive load to score so much, you kind of tend to take plays off on the defensive side of the ball.
But Trae's been a horrid defender since high school.
Agreed. Agreed.
That's not
at that size. You can't really do much.
Exactly.
To be honest.
So like,
you just got to show effort.
Of course, effort is mandatory, but at the end of the day, you know, Trae has to be better than what he's doing. And I just think that when you factor in like, also he doesn't even move without the ball. That's one thing that like I hate people when they compare him to Steph, because it's like Steph, when he doesn't have the ball, is always moving. You know, like if you see certain possessions this year, there are possessions where Steph doesn't even touch the ball. Yeah. And it's good for the offense because there's so much attention on Steph that it frees up defenses to not pay attention to certain other players. Like Kelly Oubre can benefit a lot off of a Steph Curry because he's a great cutter.
I mean, I wouldn't say the comparisons to Steph are immature, because who's the one other guy in the entire world that, you know, we see him pull from 40 or 35?
It's just unfair.
I mean, he's been doing that since what, high school, college? It's just okay. We'll just do it since Steph is the only other guy before we seen Damian.
Why
Lillard
not just not compare him? Just say he's Trae.
Good point.
You know, like think about it. Remember Andrew Wiggins? And I blame the media, bro. I blame the media.
It's what we do. It's what we do.
Yeah, I know, but like think about it. Andrew Wiggins got compared to LeBron.
Oh God,
Kobe. That man hit a fadeaway on Kobe. The remains of Kobe Bryant in his career. He hit the fadeaway on the remains of Kobe. You know, the last legs of Kobe, the ending of his career. Hit a fadeaway, and people were like, "Oh, passing of the torch." The man got cornrows, and they were like,
but
he's
this is what we do as media people, as journalists. When we see one play, we overreact. We're already crowning Trae Young the next Steph Curry. Meanwhile, Steph Curry was still in his prime. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we do. Calling Mahomes the GOAT when the GOAT is still in his prime. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't say he's in his prime.
It's what his, okay. Well, I mean, he's still dominating the league.
Yeah, he
you know
is.
What I'm saying? So
it's just it's crazy. Like, to me, Trae is overrated as hell, bro. Like I love Trae, bro, but and like,
I mean, wouldn't you also give him a pass for being on a bad team though?
But okay, that I was gonna get to that.
Yep.
They gave him a lot of new pieces on this roster now. Yeah. Don't sit there and
Danilo Gallinari has not been healthy.
Yeah,
he just came back.
Yeah, he has.
But the other pieces like DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish and Kevin Huerter, they've all been playing good.
Yeah, so, Cam Reddish stepped up. Cam Reddish is having Cam Reddish on defense stepped up.
He's a stud.
Offensively,
he's a stud on defense though.
Yeah, offensively he's so inconsistent.
Yeah,
so inconsistent. And like, I even said it, I wasn't a big Reddish fan in college, even though he wasn't really he was utilized well in college. But man, I don't think he's gonna.
I've seen some promise, but I mean, I guess when you play with Trae Young, who hogs the ball so much, it's hard to
really. Trae a ball hog?
It's hard to really get in rhythm.
Is Trae Young a ball hog?
It's hard to call him a ball hog because his assist numbers are obviously high, but
I don't think assists should determine if you're a ball hog. Look at Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, absolutely. But
James Harden,
you know, hey, let's not do that.
Hey,
let's not do that.
I know you're not saying Harden not a ball hog.
Let's not do that,
dude. Stop.
Who the hell is he gonna pass the ball to? Who the hell is James Harden going to pass the ball to?
We're not talking about Harden, bro.
Come on.
We're not talking about Harden. We're talking about Trae. Is Trae a ball hog?
Okay. I think he is. I think he is.
Trae's a ball hog? Yeah. That's tough.
I think he is.
Dang.
I mean, he's a playmaker. He makes the right plays, but sometimes he holds on to the ball.
But to be real, like,
I mean,
as a playmaker, is he like, he's a great playmaker, but is he the playmaker that like he should be?
Because he has great vision.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, when we're coming out of college, we seen like the 3-pointers and long distance shots, but we also raised our eye as a great passer. You know, but with the NBA, it's a different animal.
The thing is, he does miss open teammates.
Yeah, he does.
Not only that, but he falls in love with that pick and roll with John Collins a lot, and also Capella. Obviously, Capella's just the lob guy. So
and he also struggles when guys get physical with him because you know he's lean and he's. Not
we saw Grayson Allen.
Absolutely, you know, but you know, yeah.
But it is what it is, you know. Trae Young, I think he's overrated, but I think that's a lot due to his fans and due to just the media, bro. But it is what it is. Let's move on.
Yep.
Our final topic is my segment.
Okay, I'm just gonna sit back for this one, and just before I let you go into your harsh truth of the day, I just want to tell the fans: listen, guys, I have nothing to do with what he's about to say. I have no association with what this guy's about to say. You go on, my friend. I'm just gonna sit back.
Everybody, let's sit back.
Watch the blasphemy that's gonna come out your mouth.
Let me sit up in my chair.
Oh Lord.
Let me sit up a little bit. So, Carmelo Anthony was asked a couple days ago, or actually I think like 2 days ago.
Okay.
And he was asked, what does he have left to prove or something like that in his career? And he said, not a damn thing.
Rightfully so.
And yeah, he has nothing left to prove because he has nothing he can do anymore. He needs to retire.
Don't do
But I'm serious.
Don't do that.
What's funny? I'm not even. What's so funny? I haven't even said anything yet.
Listen.
Wait, you think
Melo is coming off a 24-point game. Had 17 points in the fourth quarter.
Bruh,
Closed out the game.
I guarantee you, if I go to Vince Carter's last year, I'll find a 20-point game.
Listen.
Let me see.
Closed out the best team in the East.
Let me see.
And you want Carmelo to retire. Listen, when it comes to Carmelo, right, I don't think he's not washed because obviously he still has a. First of all, Carmelo is one of the greatest scorers, pure hoopers the game has ever seen. When it comes to putting the ball in the hoop, you know, a lot of guys like to say, oh, he's selfish, a ball stopper here and there. But Carmelo Anthony is one of the greatest scorers in the entire NBA.
I got some
in history.
When Vince Carter was 40 years old,
okay,
when he was with the Sacramento Kings,
let's not do this.
He had 2 20-point games. So it's not like it's incapable for a guy like Melo to go out there and drop 20. So I don't care.
But a couple of guys were calling for Melo to retire like 3 years ago.
Hey.
He still has a lot in the bag.
Let me get into my point.
Go on.
So it started a lot of conversations about Carmelo Anthony's career. And you know, we have this conversation like so many times. I feel like we've talked about Melo's career so much ever since, especially when he was, you know, getting quote unquote blackballed, which I thought that was the most ridiculous thing. Like, he was not getting blackballed. I don't know why people were.
He just never fit into the Rockets offense.
Yeah, he never fit anywhere. But I think when you look at Carmelo Anthony's career, on a serious note, I think he was a good player, but never a great player. And I think the reason I don't look at him as a great player is because he never transcended anything. Carmelo Anthony won a scoring title, and that's it. Like, really, what did Carmelo ever truly accomplish in his career? He never really accomplished anything. Carmelo Anthony has 2 top 10 MVP finishes. Only 2. Throughout his entire career, he only finished in 2 top 10s in the MVP voting. Carmelo Anthony's only made it out of the first round twice in his career. One of those times going to the conference finals, which is really the highlight of his career.
Yep.
Coming so early with the Denver Nuggets. And then in 2013, the year that he led the league in scoring, that was one of the weakest scoring titles in NBA history. But in the NBA careers, you nitpick.
Yep.
You nitpick stuff. It's a great accomplishment, but I don't look at that scoring title as something like major.
Yep.
Especially considering he didn't have much playoff success. Melo is just a great scorer, and that's it. He's not a great player. Melo was selfish.
Would you say Melo's a top 50 player?
No.
No?
No. Melo is not even top 10 at his position.
Okay, how many great small forwards are there all time?
It's a lot of great small forwards, yo.
Wow.
Like, think about it. Paul Pierce, he's not a guaranteed top 10 small forward ever.
Who, Paul Pierce?
Yeah.
No, he is.
I don't think he is.
No, he is.
I don't think he is.
Definitely. When you talk about,
I don't think he's definite, bro.
Okay, let's just do quickly. LeBron, KD, Larry,
Scottie Pippen.
And
I'm not even saying this is not in order.
Okay, this is not in order.
Scottie was a small forward or power shooting guard?
I think Gervin was a small forward. What was Julius?
Julius Irving. Dr. J's in there.
Dr. J.
Larry Bird. You already said Larry Bird. LeBron,
Larry.
KD.
KD, Paul
Rick
Pierce,
Barry.
Melo.
Rick Barry's also there. Rick Barry, yeah, come on.
Rick Barry over Melo?
Yeah. Dude, wait, what? Dude, Melo is a loser. Melo
First of all, Melo right now currently seated. He's number 12 on the
I don't want to hear that shit.
Listen.
I don't want to hear that shit.
He's number 12 on the all-time scoring list.
He needs to retire.
By the end of the season, he's probably going to be in the top 10. So that means he's going to be.
Is he that close to the top 10?
He's only a couple of thousand. If he plays maybe one more season, he'll be there.
But he needs to retire.
But when you're naming the top 10 players, right, of scoring, Melo's name is gonna come up with the greats, with the LeBrons, with the Shaqs, with the MJs, with the Kobe's. Okay, Melo's a 10-time NBA All-Star.
Okay, first of all, come on. That's literally just a fan vote, so I don't care.
Let's show Melo some respect.
So because of fans, he should be.
I'm just saying. Well obviously,
Melo, look, dude. Melo was never even an MVP caliber player.
And
at a point.
What great team would you say Melo has been on? They had a real shot of competing.
And I'm about to get to that.
Yep.
Here's another thing about Melo. Melo is also selfish. Melo, people forget, and I don't know why people always
talking about like
this.
taking less money or like on the court.
No, because people always complain about Melo's teams, right? Because he came to that class with LeBron, Wade, Bosh, and they all have rings and he doesn't. Oh, they're well, he had better teams than Melo did. All that, which is fair. But the reason I say it doesn't really matter is because people forget it was supposed to be Wade, Bron, and Melo.
Yep.
Melo took a 5-year deal when Wade and Bron took a 3-year deal. They took less money because they wanted to win together. And Melo could have done the same thing, but he wanted his bag. And look, get your bag when you have the opportunity.
It while you can. You know?
But then the same opportunity presented itself, I believe, in 2014, where Melo could have left the New York Knicks.
Those are the Bulls.
And mind you, when he got to the Knicks, he knew the Knicks were going to be depleted of what they had on that roster because they had to trade for him.
Yeah.
So he forced his way out of Denver with less than a year left on his deal, knowing that New York was only going to get him for half a year and they were going to have to give up so much to get him anyways. So he depleted the roster that he could have potentially just signed on the next year with the pieces that he had. So he depleted his own roster in New York because he wanted to be there just for half a year. So then when he gets there, he has the opportunity to re-sign, and guess what he does? He chose to stay in New York. He wanted the bag. He wanted the spotlight. And not only that, I will never forget what he did to Jeremy Lin, bro.
Oh my God!
I also won't forget about that,
on that,
dude. Because that shows because to me, the Knicks were losing, and then Jeremy Lin comes in, does this thing with Mike D'Antoni. Melo's on the bench because he's hurt. Melo comes back, has issues with the offense. Who's out of there? Mike D'Antoni. And you always are going to pick the star over the coach in the NBA. This is not football where you can pick the coach over the player. But at the end of the day, the Knicks went back to being mediocre. Carmelo Anthony, I love Melo, bro. Actually, I don't love Melo. I'm not going to say
I was about to say that. No, you don't.
But I love his game. And Melo is a big reason why I love basketball. I grew up with Melo.
Yep.
Him, LeBron. I remember that year he had in 2013 where he went freaking ballistic.
Crazy.
I remember that game he had in the Garden against the Bulls. He was amazing. I'll never forget the moments that Melo gave me growing up as a basketball fan. But at the end of the day, Melo's just good.
All right.
He's not great.
Let's end with this, right? So I'll ask you a question, right? Just to wrap this all up. All right, let's say you're ranking Melo's career as a whole and 5 stars. I'm talking about 5 stars is the Jordans and the Kobe's and the LeBrons. What star would you give Melo's career as a whole?
For a Hall of Famer?
He's a first ballot.
No. But are we like, because if you're putting it like 5 stars, LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe, then 4 stars like who?
4-star will probably
like
be
a Dirk?
like a Dirk.
KD, Steph?
Yeah.
So he's a 3-star.
I would say, no, 4.5 will be like a Steph and KD. I'll say Melo's
3.5
a
stars.
A 3.5?
3.5 stars.
What would you give like a Paul Pierce?
Paul Pierce is like a 3.5 stars.
No way.
Okay, Paul Pierce.
Way. I'll give both of them like a 4.
Because Paul Pierce has a ring.
Because Melo's a first ballot. Come on.
Dude, but of course he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
4-star.
You know, if we're doing that, he's a 3-star guy.
Now I'll say 4-star.
I think Paul Pierce is a 3.5. Melo's a 3-star. 4-star is like a Scottie Pippen, Chris Paul. that range.
Okay.
And then like a 4.5 stars, like the KDs, the Stephs, the guys that are right outside that top 10.
Yeah.
And then 5 stars, top 10 guys, you know, Jordans, LeBrons, all those guys.
Right. I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Melo to me is he just wasn't great.
That's fair. Hey, Hoodie Melo's still
He peaked
still
in
here.
college.
Peaked? All right. That's cap. That's cap.
No, his career achievement. What's his biggest achievement?
He was on bad teams. Let's give him a break.
Dude, no.
Come on.
Oh, okay, but be
Let's
honest with yourself, Jono. What's his biggest achievement?
In the NBA?
No, in his basketball career.
I mean, I would say Syracuse. You don't take winning the chip as a true freshman.
So as an NBA player, he's not great.
Yeah, he hasn't accomplished much.
Exactly, bro. But that concludes this episode.
Yeah.
I hope y'all enjoyed this set. There's going to be more to come. We will have a lot, so stay tuned for First Possession. Jono, you got any closing words?
Nah. I mean, Nets in 6.
Make sure y'all follow us on social media. The links are in the description box. Like this video on YouTube.
Yep.
We'll try to get this on audio platforms as well.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned for that. This is your boys, David and Jono from First Possession signing out.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
See y'all.